It was 1:03 a.m. on a Friday night when the walls of my quiet, suburban home began to shake like a live concert venue. Bass thumped so violently that picture frames rattled, and the chandelier in my hallway trembled like it was about to fall. At first I thought maybe a car with oversized subwoofers had parked outside. But when I looked out my window, I saw the truth my neighbor, Patricia Karen Harrington. The self-proclaimed queen of our HOA had decided to throw what looked like a full-blown nightclub party in her backyard. Strobe lights flashed across the neighborhood. Cars lined the street on both sides. And the sound of drunken laughter carried through the cul-de-sac like it was noon, not midnight. Normally, I would have let it slide. Everyone deserves to blow off steam once in a while, but this wasn't a one-time thing. Karen had a habit of flaunting the very rules she enforced on everyone else. We weren't allowed to park RVs, but she had her cousin's trailer parked in front of her place for 2 months. We weren't allowed to build fences higher than 4 feet, but she put up a 6-foot privacy barrier. And when I politely asked her before about her noise, she sneered and told me, "If you don't like it, you can move. This is my HOA." Well, tonight I wasn't moving. I was exhausted from a 12-hour shift, and I had to be up again at 6 a.m., so I did what any rational neighbor would do. I walked over, rang the doorbell, and hoped for a sliver of decency. The door opened and Karen appeared, wine glass in hand, cheeks flushed red. Her designer blouse already stained with something dark. "What do you want?" she snapped, glaring at me like I'd just trespassed on royal property. I took a breath, trying to stay calm. "Karen, it's 1 in the morning. The music is shaking my walls. Could you please turn it down a bit?" Her laugh was sharp, almost theatrical. "It's the weekend. Lighten up. Everyone's having fun, except you. Don't be such a grumpy old man." "I'm 32, I replied flatly, "and I have work in the morning." "Look, I'm not asking you to end the party. Just bring the volume down so people can actually sleep." That's when her face hardened, and she leaned closer, lowering her voice into a venomous hiss. "This is my neighborhood, my HOA. You don't tell me what to do." Before I could respond, she shoved me back so hard I stumbled off her porch. The guests nearby gasped, then cheered like it was part of the entertainment. Embarrassed but still trying to keep my composure, I raised my hands. "Karen, I'm not looking for a fight," but apparently she was. She stormed down the steps, and before I could react, she slapped me across the face. Hard. My ears rang. And the crowd hollered like they were watching a bar brawl. One of her drunk friends shouted, "Get him, Karen!" And she actually swung again her wine glass, grazing my shoulder as she screamed about how I was disrespecting her authority. That was it. I backed away, blood boiling, but I wasn't going to hit her. I wasn't raised that way. Instead, I said the words that froze her smirk instantly. "All right, you want to play games? Yeah, fine. But don't cry in 30 minutes when my friends show up." She laughed in my face, wine breath, choking the air. "What? You gonna call the cops?" "Please, they're my friends. They won't do a damn thing." I didn't call the cops. I called the Marines. You see, I served 6 years in the Marines myself. And though I'd been out for a couple years now, I still kept close contact with my brothers in arms. And in fact, just that week, a few of them guys I'd trained with and trusted with my life were in town for a reunion. They'd texted me earlier asking if I wanted to meet up after my shift, but I'd been too tired. Now I had the perfect reason to give them a call. Within half an hour, 3 black trucks rolled into the cul-de-sac. Out stepped Sergeant Mike Belt like a tank with a shaved head and that permanent "don't mess with me" look behind him. Came Torres, lean and wiry, but faster and sharper than anyone I knew. And finally, Jackson, the tallest of the bunch. A gentle giant until someone crossed the line. The music was still blaring when they arrived. But suddenly, the atmosphere shifted. These weren't guys you mistook for just party guests. They carried themselves with quiet authority, the kind that didn't need words. The crowd of drunken partiers began to shuffle nervously as the 3 of them walked straight toward Karen's yard. Karen, of course, stood her ground with her arms crossed. "Who the hell are you?" she demanded. Mike's voice was calm, deep, and dangerous. We're friends of his. He pointed at me, standing a few feet back with my cheek, still burning from her slap, and we're here to have a little talk about respect. What followed was the most satisfying 30 minutes of my life. Karen tried to bluster, claiming she ran this neighborhood, but my Marine buddies didn't even raise their voices. They explained, in clear, commanding tones, what harassment, assault, and disturbing the peace really meant, and what could happen if she didn't start respecting the people around her. Torres even pulled out his phone, showing her the footage he'd already started recording, including her hitting me. Karen's face drained of color. Then Jackson, with that quiet but firm presence, leaned down and said, "You like rules, don't you, Karen? Well, here's one. You don't lay a hand on him again. It's not unless you want every single one of us to make sure the law knows everything about what you just did tonight." The party went dead silent. One by one, guests began filing out, muttering excuses. Within 15 minutes, the music was off, the lights shut down. Karen stood there, trembling, trying to maintain her dignity. I walked up, still calm, but finally smiling. "See, Karen, you were right about one thing. This is your HOA, but these are my brothers. I promise you do not want to test us again." She didn't respond. She just turned, slammed her door, and disappeared inside. From that night forward, the party stopped. Karen never so much as looked me in the eye again, let alone tried to boss me around. Word spread fast about what happened, and soon, other neighbors started standing up to her too. Turns out all it took was one night, one slap, and 3 Marines to finally put her in her place. And as for me, slept like a baby the rest of the night, knowing justice had been served Marine style. Asterisk this. Story is just the beginning. There is so much more ahead. Subscribe to the channel to join me on this journey.